with a star on their shirts, and that is Korea and Team UK. Do you think we're going to see a new PNC champion this year, or do you think Korea will get the three-peat done?
It's going to be really tough to keep this Korea team down. Some of the best in the world right now on that squad, no doubt about it. The return of Seoul to the global stage, he's going to be hungry, but my eyes really go to teams like Vietnam, like China, who have PGC winners on their squads, who know how to get it done. So absolutely, they are going to be forces to be reckoned with. And maybe, you know, with what we were hearing a little bit between Australia and USA, teams might be targeting Korea a little bit. Kind of actually hard to do in a PUBG lobby because you got to just kind of take the points where you can, but there is going to be a lot of eyes on that kill feed whenever Korea is involved.
Yeah, and I love how some of the players were talking about how they deserve to win PNC. Well, there's only one way that you deserve to win this event. Yeah, we got Himsy, we got Gunner representing and Kick, but there's only one way to deserve to win a PNC, and that's to go out over the next 3 days and earn it. And you know, every single player behind us, even if they're going into this with the underdog mentality, truly believe that they have what it takes to win it. And honestly, I think it is going to be the best PNC we've ever had. And that's a bold statement considering there was 1 point last year.
No, I think this is going to come down to the wire again. I mean, this is just such an unbelievably stacked lobby that we have here. 16 teams, 64 of the best players on the planet right now. You saw in the survival stage how hard fought it was, how every team made that one of the sweatiest 2 days I've ever seen at a PNC, and it only should get even more intense here over the next 3 days, over the next 18 matches.
Yeah, 18 match format, of course. I think it's the best because you truly know who deserves to win over that many maps. A 6-map day, it can come down to luck. A 12-map day, you get a little bit of skill, but over 18 maps, the cream truly rises to the top. But it is time to kick things off in Miramar. PNC 2025, day one. We are underway here, Paper, and I cannot wait to get stuck into the action.
For sure. We're coming to you live from Seoul, South Korea, once again for PNC, and we begin our journey on Miramar, the Dusty Dunes. And I'm telling you, if what I've been hearing about is true, I think we're going to get hot drops probably most maps today. I think there's a lot of teams who have a lot to prove. We'll see, though. You know, teams in the scrims in the lead-up today just kind of were quiet because nobody fought for anything. They didn't want to show their hands. They didn't want to show their cards. They kept it close to the vest. So now my question is, are spots like Picado, you know, sometimes Hacienda, there's some other points of interest that do get fought over. For Team Korea, you're going to be seeing them go for the normal DN Freaks drops, so it's going to be Kantara here. For our defending champions, throughout the day, I've looked at their desired drop locations. It's going to be all Freaks ideas, so curious to see how that's all going to work out. But right now, I'm just seeing China over Picado. I was curious if the Philippines were thinking about making a claim or trying to make a claim.
No, you can't. Not against China. You can't. Not on your first day. You're really, maybe, you know, maybe you win a couple of gunfights later on in the tournament, but the big one for me to point out straight away is that in the initial drop map that we were given, Germany and Thailand were going to hot drop over water treatment. Now, speaking to some of the players and having watched a lot of Europe, Germany do like avoiding early game engagements if they can, and with this flight path, and they know that they could get to water treatment, but their alt drop in Puerto was available. No point risking going for a hot drop on map 1. They've gone to Puerto, and you know what? The circle with the flight path we have, it's pretty good for them early stages.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to work with here coming out of Los Leones. You know, the USA is going to start there, but they are certainly not going to be anywhere near that initially. Once they get their gear, once they start making those rotations, they're going to be trying to claim some of those center compounds. This is one of those weird circles where usually it's going to end up somewhere around Picado, is typically where these circles like to go. Doesn't have to, though, as we do have an interview ready with Salute, the defending champion.
안녕하세요. DM프릭스 소속 살로트 우재현이라고 합니다. 이번에 2025년 PNC 국가대표로 참가하게 됐습니다. 최근에 있던 대회에서 좀 아쉬운 성적도 가지고 제 개인 폼이 안 좋았다고 생각을 하는데 이번 대회에서 꼭 그걸 떨쳐내고 좋은 모습으로 활약할 수 있게 보여드릴 테니까 재밌게 봐주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 사실 잘하는 팀을 견제하는 건 당연하다고 생각을 하고 그 왕관의 무게를 견디는 게 한국 대표팀이라 생각을 해서 이번에도 별일 없이 우승을 하지 않을까 싶어요. 제가 왜 국가대표로 선발되었는지 이번에 결과로 증명하겠습니다.
Terrifying, isn't it, when a team that won the event last year as a player going, yeah, I don't think I played anywhere near how I can. James in a spot of trouble here as Flood from Team Australia will fire the first real shots and anger here at PNC. And Australia, they will keep on moving inside the circle. Australia, by the way, great drops here on Miramar, getting power grid. That's a great staging post for them this event.
It really is. I mean, you see that this drop spot is often contested at the global stage. At PGS's, often Twisted Minds is having to defend that territory. One of the best teams on the planet, of course. So when you're looking at power grid, you're looking at easy access to a lot of early game, a lot of high ground, a lot of powerful compounds that Australia's already kind of reaching out to near that road that runs out of Picado to the northeast. So certainly a great spot to start. And I'm really curious to see how Tiggleton is going to approach being the IGL this year for Australia. He was talking to me a little bit about it, how he's not used to having to talk that much. Like he is normally a player who's allowed to be a little more quiet because, you know, he doesn't have to do that IGL role and he can just kind of rely on his teammates. Now he has to be much more vocal, and he found that to be a little strange at first.
And it is going to be strange when you've not done it for so long, but we're honing in on Simoy here and the rest of Indonesia. If you're just joining us today, they were exceptional over the course of the survival stage. Simoy was brilliant on day one, and Trick was phenomenal alongside Teddy on day two. They've dropped inside of Drumstick Island, way down to the south. They'll look to rotate into the circle in the early stages, but I think that there's going to be a level of confidence they're going to have that if they had have just been in the 16 teams and it was the old format, I don't think they'd be as confident going into today as they are now, considering that they dominated the survival stage.
Yeah, it is, you know, really encouraging for me to see Indonesia play that well, to get that level of confidence on a global event. But they need to continue that. They need to find ways to build off of that momentum. Don't let go of that success that you were able to find. Again, I will say this until the cows come home. It was the best performance I've seen from any Indonesian roster, however you want to cut it, whether it be at a PGS or a PGC. Here at PNC, that was the best I've ever seen from that region. I need to see more. I want to give a quick shout out to Setsuna, who is putting up a ton of damage for this squad, and a lot of it was with the DMRs. He was setting up like the players like Teddy, like Simoy, like Trick for success with his initial opening of space and kind of softening up some of those targets. But look at this, Gumin on his own.
Yeah, doesn't have a vehicle. He's got to get out of there really quick. He's going to stand and fight his ground. Here come Norway. Gumin almost getting the first shot on HC, but he's going to get the first knock of PNC, but James is there to trade it back. And now Korea Seoul running up with the nade in the back pocket, looking to get some revenge for his fallen comrade. Norway, they're going to go for the res, but Seoul seems to be reading the movement. He tosses the nade inside and it hits the target. Heyman's going to fall. He's going to get flushed out, and Seoul is fighting back.
And look what he's done. He's broken things open here for Korea, reigning with the Panzer, looking to put it to good use. And there's a buggy that just drives in right in front of him. They're gonna storm through. Salute, just run around in tens, puts him on the ground, makes short work of that prone player. But Himas from Vietnam, from afar, looking to get involved, looking to stymie Korea early.
Yeah, Himas has got James in his sight now too, but James has got some explosive utility of his own, and it's perfect. He'll get the knock onto Salute as these two sides continue to do damage to each other. At what point does Himas say maybe it is worth Vietnam pushing? The team is too far away, so really he is just on Overwatch. James gets the first aid off. Seoul will get another confirmation on the board for Korea, but Norway not done fighting just yet. But Seoul gets it done, and Korea with the opening squad wipe of PNC.
What timely play from Seoul. The initial grenade just perfect. You know, Gumin there, able to get that first knock and saying, look, I'm dead, but you've got an opportunity here. Now, Alo down, he runs into Germany over in Los Leones. This is what I was kind of talking about earlier with those rotations that were going to be available to Germany, but a late kind of positioning from Alo, maybe playing a bit of an anchor spot, costs him, and he's down. Purdy Curdy, though, looking to try to return the favor. Germany just going to set up inside of this apartment building. Purdy's above them, I believe, so this is going to be interesting. They're looking to maybe clear this building out. How does Purdy get through? Shrimsy quite a bit ahead of his IGL.
Yeah, the only The only way that there was any way the rest of USA were getting involved there was if Kurt was able to get a knock or two. They're going to play as a 2 for the rest of this game. So we've got another bit of action here. Team UK pushing on to Vietnam. Tan Vu, of course, takes the first bit of damage in this fight, but Michael with a FAMAS already, and Hemas gets the opener of this engagement. T-Bone is going to fall. Hemas will flush that one out, but UK brilliant at bringing players back once they've been dealt with already. But this is going to be tough here, Paper, but Fex will get a knock of his own.
Yeah, Fex being really patient here behind these boxes, so the stuns come out, and a good grenade does a fair amount of damage. Tombu able to finish what the grenade started, so just one player left here for the UK, and it's Vard quite far away from this fight. Looks like he is just going to wait for his opportunity to try to see if he can grab the blue chips and get the recall through.
Yeah, 10 players have fallen already in the opening 8.5 minutes here on Erangel, which has completely had a revamp to its tempo at the highest level of esports here in PUBG. And you'd think that the lobby will get a little bit of room to breathe now. You'd hope that all those players falling is going to create insane amounts of space inside a zone like this. And one of the teams that'll look to take advantage of that is Denmark, because they're going to share the area around Cantera with Team Poland.
Yeah, so curious to see if anybody's going to find any significant damage between these two. They're quite spread out, are both teams, so it's going to come down to some of that long-range shooting, some of that DMR damage, to see if they can find any opportunities to try to make a stronger push somewhere. Xiaowu going to be up on top of the mountain here. Delwyn going to be sneaking underneath him. I mean, this is a Delwyn specialty. He is such an aggressive player out on his own. He is willing to take some space and catch his opponents off guard when they don't expect him to be there. And Xiaowu, though, I think he's actually shooting at the Philippines way over on the other side, but for the likes of Vietnam, they're just checking. They're just doing a little bit of scouting here for Delwyn to set him up for success.
Yeah, Delwyn's just creeping up over that ridgeline. Xiaowu on the other side. Spot around the open, but Delwyn takes a ton of damage. One more repeat, one more shot to do it, but he misses every single one. But the fight's not over just yet. The nade's there, and Delwyn will find the knock, and Xiaowu will go down. This should be a point on the board for Vietnam to get them up to 4, but Xiaowu had no clue that Delwyn was creeping up the ridgeline.
He's so good at moments like this, and he's such a brilliant leader for the Expendables, and you're seeing why, because not only is he good at taking space, being that recon player that is so valuable in PUBG esports, but he's capable of finishing what he started. A little bit whiffy there on the initial spray, but that's A-okay because he had Xiaowu in a dead-to-right spot. Poland going to be grouping up. You can see Denmark wants to gain a little bit of territory behind that. Just going to backfill a little bit as Gustav into this concrete god compounds. Poland, though, going to be happy with what they have for now, as this is pretty central in phase 2. We did shift to the east, away from Picado just a little bit, and a lot of interesting terrain to work with here around the craters, around the graveyard, north of Los Leones. So this is shaping up to be a really interesting start to PNC.
And if you are eagle-eyed and you're looking at the Poland roster and say something looks different, yes, Domint is back in today, and Pufa has gone back into the coaching role. So they have made a change going into today. Whether or not this is the thing where they're going to alternate the team every single day, or whether there was just something in particular about day 2 that made them think Pufa would give them a better chance, they have made a roster swap. And I love how we're seeing teams like Indonesia play in positions like Picado where you might not usually go this early, but because you've got the recall system in that position, it means you could play there, and if you do sustain a knock from long range, you can get that player back.
Yeah, exactly, and also that's a really nice spot on the edge of Picado because it gives you a ton of zone control to your east. You're going to be able to keep track of any teams that are going to be setting up on the outside crater that's to the west of Kantara. A little bit of attempted damage. Are they going to drive?
They got it.
They got the tire. Oh, Jaiwei's in trouble now. Jacob going to be circling around him. The spray there gets him weak, and Fluky from afar able to finish what Jacob started.
Yeah, we talked about how we thought Thailand would be a little less aggressive, but there's some things that you can't iron out of a team. And I loved how you had one player, Fluky, up on high with Ross focusing on the tire, and Jacob was like, yeah, you put the pressure on, I'm going to cut him off with a vehicle, I'm going to get that knock. That's a level of confidence in your own ability and your teamwork that is just so good to see.
Yeah, and that shows great communication as well there for Team Thailand to be able to set up plays like that, to catch the trailing player of Chinese Taipei, who are now going to make a wide wrap up to the north. A little bit of space available for them up there, but fighting uphill the rest of the way, most likely, depending on what the next circles do, but going to be a little bit tricky for them. Germany still hounding the backside of USA. Kickstart and Trimsy, the duo for the Falcons, just going to be chilling in a house, trying to lock things down, trying to see what points they can salvage out of this one. And now Thailand making their move. They're going to be coming in towards Los Leones. You have Argentina and Germany down here. This is actually going to be a little bit tricky for them. So let's see if they can suss this out and find a successful entry.
Yeah, I think just looking at the terrain, this is probably the best way. Even though there's more teams here, it's the more playable part of the circle. You look north of where Brazil are, at the very north side of the circle, there's a lot of open ground, a lot of fights that maybe you don't want to get into. We're looking at Thailand's POV of what they know, and you can see them. They're saying, right, we know that there's a 2-2 split between Argentina. You can see them highlighting that, and they're kind of showing what they think their best path into the circle is. And that's one of the things that I love and the addition to observing inside of PUBG lately, is being able to see exactly what those players think or know and what they're communicating to themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a nice change as the circle going to keep Picado inside of it and go towards that other crater where Vietnam has set up shop with a couple players inside and outside. China going to be on the western edge after losing Xiao Wu early. And it's going to be Indonesia defending the only recall system that's in the new circle, trying to keep anybody from getting their players back in. We saw how pivotal that was during the survival stage, especially for like the Philippines, who had a big comeback in a game where they were able to get 3 players res. Seoul out in the open for Korea. Gyumin not able to be res, no res station available. Xavier did find a knock on a 10 trip for Taipei. That's out by Minas Generales.
Yeah, that's a long-range knock, and it's a bit more aggression from Chinese Taipei that we weren't used to seeing over the survival stage, but on all sides as Matchsters and Domi will take a little bit of damage. But as Acelef is actually able to take 10 trip out of the sky.
He is one of the best in the business when it comes to just raw skill. Acelef has that in spades for sure. Everybody on Team China does. Ming Ming, absolutely stellar. Lil Ghost, a known quantity with multiple PGS wins. But here for the Philippines, a little bit of a rough start, but they're able to at least get 3 players, 2 players down, and CJ's trailing in a vehicle trying to drive to regroup. He's under fire. A grenade there from Keter. He's going to get a knock onto a Poland player.